starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, my family? Welcome to another brainstorming session. We bring you nothing but gems, nothing but jewels, and nothing but just fantastic stories. Every time we bring you another special guest, where we're touching on different topics, based around economic growth. You guys already know what it's all about. That's community, economic growth, generational wealth. That's what it's all about. That's what the mob is all about. So, it's always important for us to really connect with people that's really out here, putting their boots on the ground, making things happen, because it's not easy. And, it's always good to have some confirmation, for the most part, and have some motivation, and, inspired to be like somebody, have some type of mentor, advisor, and get that real life knowledge, get them real life gems. We do this, we do this, for you guys. We do this absolutely free, and we do it for the community, for the most part. So, we love the feedback that we've been getting so far. We've had so many great guests, special guests coming on, and we've been just dropping so much knowledge. So, make sure you guys head on over to M.O.B TV, check out the recaps, check out some of the great stories that we've been putting out there in the earth, and tap in with some of the great business owners that we've been working with over the years. Really just tap in to see what they have going on. We've been connected with so many different people from different walks of life, and that's what it's all about. Really just bringing the community together, figuring out what resources is out there, and figuring out what type of things other people was going through as well. So I got another special guest for you guys, and man, I can't wait to really get into this guest. But if you tapped in with us live, make sure you guys blow up that chat. Let me see some fire signs, for the most part, and let me see, let me hear about some of the amazing things that you guys are doing with your businesses. Introduce your businesses, throw your websites in the chat, or your social medias in the chat. And follow somebody else's social media as well. That's what it's all about, man. Connecting the dots, connecting the community, and figuring out different ways that we can really collaborate. If matter of fact, speaking of collaborations, definitely shout out to all of our mod members. All of you guys been doing some great things. We've been working with some great business owners, as far as just whether it's working with building a website for them, whether it's managing their social medias. We've been working with a lot of different campaigns. We've been hosting a lot of great events over the summertime. It's fall time now. We're about to shut the year down. We got some wonderful events coming up that I can't wait to announce on our website. So make sure you guys tap in and definitely subscribe to our mailing list on www.masteringnourbusiness.com so you can get some of this wonderful news and just stay connected with some of the things that we got coming up. We got a lot of resources for you guys as well. If you're just starting a business or if you're already scaling a business and you're just looking to grow a little bit, whether it's business funding, where you're looking to scale, access more funding for your business, which everybody can use more capital, right? So definitely check out, some of the resources that we have right on our homepage. We got a lot of different information right on our website. We have made a lot of updates on our website as well. Shout out to our production team. We just built a brand new chat bot where you can actually go into our homepage and you can ask our chat bot any questions that you may have about the program, about our organization, about our community, and it'll make sure that they give you some accurate answers. So make sure you guys check out our chat bot right on our homepage. And again, www.masteringnourbusiness.com. I don't want to hold you guys up, and I don't want to hold our guests up too much longer. I want to bring on Farmer. What's going on, King? What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. I can't complain. I just want to thank you for just taking out the time to, hop on our brainstorming session and really just, swap some knowledge. I know you got a busy day, but tell the people, for the people that's on the rock that don't really know, tell the people, what it is that you do and, what you have coming up.
All right. Well, Farmer Wayne, owner operator of Swanson Family Farm. I'm also what we call an ag entrepreneur and agripreneur. I'm an investor. I've invested in a farm in Jamaica. There is a grocery store called Nourish and Bloom Markets. I'm an investor there. Our products are on the shelf there, and will be as they're growing. I think they have two stores now. Three are under construction. Three sites. Nourish and Bloom Markets. Check them out. Also, the 501c3, three of us that co-founded that, well, more that co-founded, but three of us left. And what we do is we help black-owned farm businesses. What started out as helping people, it was a whole 360-degree revolution. So we help people start farms, show them other farms to help them see what it was. Those who wanted to do farming for profit, for business, we helped them get started as well, and then showed them some of the mechanisms and some of the mistakes that I made and others made along the way, so you didn't have to make those same mistakes. And then we showed them how to get customers. And now this year, we are taking people with farm, what we call value added products. We're doing a tour with Nourish and Bloom, which is a grocery store, and then several other grocery stores in town Atlanta that got dollars from Invest Atlanta and from a grant from the city of Atlanta to find shelf space. Like they need people with black owned products to get on shelves. We have people that have products that may not be their business may not be ready to get on a major retail shelf, but this is where we practice. And a lot of times with us, we tend to go straight to the trophy ceremony. Like this is one thing I have with as a farmer. I just can't look at a field and say, "Man, I wish there was corn there," or just go to a field somewhere and show this beautiful field, but not show the work that was done to get there. So a lot of us had to spend time in the trenches. And what this tour is doing is giving you an opportunity to make contacts at these grocery stores. And then if I get this other deal worked out, I'll have a retail establishment for you to come and just kind of chit chat with people and then talk to them about what's going on. So then get some shelf space and let you practice your craft. So that's what we're trying to do. And that is very important for me as a startup. I'm trying to be the help I wish I had in 2008. That's what I'm trying to do. But I need people that have realistic views and that just don't think that because you got some clicks or some likes that automatically that means that you should be at the trophy podium. That takes time. You're going to skin your knees and skin your palms, and it takes time. And that's just part of the journey. Yeah, I don't even see that as a problem anymore. It's just what it is. If you don't have problems, are you really in business?
That's part of the journey. We talk about this all the time, just, really respecting the process, enjoying the process. That's why it's so important to do, what you love to do, because it
Yeah,
is hard. It is a long journey. But you gotta respect the process. You have to love it. I love to talk about being in the trenches. That's what we're all about, especially with business development, working with, startup companies, working with people just with the dream itself, but helping them, walk them through that process, without, them bumping their heads like we bumped our heads. Same language. What you saying, as far as being that help that you wish you had, having
yeah,
mentors. Because in the beginning, I'm a serial entrepreneur, but when I first jumped into the water, we didn't have any mentors or advisors. We just kind of bootstrapped, laced our boots on, and kind of got in there. And you bump your head that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. I respect that. I think sometimes you have to get in there and bump your head a little bit, but it's always good to have mentors and people like yourself, and people like the mob. We got a great team, a great family, where we're helping people, walk the, we kind of walking them through the process, and being, accountability partners too. Because sometimes you need that kick, right? That person that be like, all right, man, it's time for you to, it's time for us to get X, Y,
Right,
and Z done, and this is how we got to go about it. So I definitely respect what it is that you do. How can
right.
people get involved? Because I know a lot of farmers myself, and I know a lot of people that wants to get into sustainable living. How can people, what's the process of that, of really kind of going through your organization?
You know, I don't know if there's a blueprint for it. It's more of a culture, and then you have to kind of decide where you are. Are you in a place where you want to do transactional business, or are you at a place where you're bartering? So those are two very needed spaces, but they have different outcomes and different levers. So I'm a for-profit guy. I'm not. I don't do a whole. I've never really done a big grant. I run business plans, assumptions, trials, and I find out what works and what my customers need, and that's what we provide. But I would tell people, just start. Just start. I don't care where you'll figure it out. Just start. But if you don't start, you'll never know. And then keep meeting people. And part of the problem for this space is that one, we're two generations removed from it. And then a lot of us that are getting into it are coming from corporate backgrounds or coming from city. And we like to tell people, man, I want to get people engaged in farming. But it's black folks never stopped farming. It's just those of us who walked away and moved to the cities and weren't involved. We always been farming. And when we come with the attitude, and I hear this every single day, I need to let people know. No, you just need to let yourself know. Black people across the South and in most of the Northeast have always been farming. We always had family that was farming. We just didn't know them, or you didn't know them. And instead of taking the stance that I didn't know them, we automatically assume because I didn't know it, the rest of black people didn't know it. And it really, like I've watched it in real life, it turns off the people that you need to be a mentor because this is their lifestyle and it's been their lifestyle for generations, but you need them. You need to learn from them. And then you're telling them that black people don't do this. So we got to be careful in how we approach things and how we say it. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but we got to be careful in how we approach people who are in the space, so that we can get those jump starts. That's all. Simple as that. Just get started.
That's a great tip. That's some great gems right there for sure. I think we do have to humble ourselves and learn our history. Because my grandmother really got me into sustainable living. Watching her with gardens. She does still have a garden to this day. That's
Yeah.
immaculate. So learning how to really just live off the land from her was a seed, that kind of really sparked interest. Even though I never really seen myself getting into that field because I'm a city boy. I'm from Detroit, so we don't really have a lot unless when you from a city like that, you get in a mindset where it's like, okay, I don't know nobody with a farm. You know what I mean? I don't even know where a farm is, and most of the farms is in Michigan is an hour or two away. But what really excited me about working with a lot of the farmers in Georgia, where I seen a lot of these farms that was right in the city, and people just didn't know about them. Um,
But
but
they do know about them. It's the people in your circle. This is where the networking comes in. They know about them. They're there. They exist. Then your network doesn't know about them, and that's what I'm saying about how we communicate. Because it's important that we have to acknowledge these people have done some work to get where they are, and they couldn't have done it in a vacuum.
yeah,
And even with Detroit, it's networking, right? So I'm a city guy too. I grew up in the city in Jersey, but because my family had connections in farming communities, I was always able to network in that space. And what has happened is we've convinced ourselves somewhere, I don't know how this happened, that black only means hood, that black only means city. That we've never only been one thing ever. And it's just now, are we willing to say, I need to network better?
Yeah,
So a lot of times I get on these calls and it's like, yeah, I need to tell people, no, you need to network better.
yeah.
We always been here out in the country.
And you right. Because once I started getting into these circles and started, meeting more farmers, I'm like, dang, okay, it was just like you said, it was me and my network, me just being where I'm from, because like even with Farmer P and seeing all the work that he's done, over the years, and I'm like, dang, where have I been? Like and just watching
Right,
the
right.
documentaries on him, and I'm like, and that's what sparked. I'm like, okay, well, I need to, do what I can to spread more knowledge and learn about it at the same time more. And that's why, that's
What
why it's so beautiful.
as a mentor, what I need you to do is for you to absorb as much knowledge as possible. Don't share anything. Absorb knowledge. As you absorb knowledge, that knowledge is going to be transferred to your network because if you're passionate about it, you have no choice but to share it. The universe ain't going to let you keep that quiet.
Facts.
And then as you share within your network, because that's where you have a circle of influence and control. When we just get online and say stuff, we don't really have any real influence or control there. It's influence. It's not control, and it's not going to be tangible to the people. So I always tell people, don't tell everybody about me because farming is a finite product. No farm can handle 500,000 customers, nor would ever design to. There should be a version of me in all these metropolitan areas. And just what I try to help people from a customer centric standpoint. I like my customers. I don't want you to come and buy out every single thing I got at one time because I may not have the infrastructure to handle those sales right then. But if we could schedule those sales across two quarters, I can really give you a better product. I can answer the calls. I can answer the emails. There's going to be product problems because if you're in business, there's always a packing problem or a shipping problem. That's just normal. And getting our people comfortable to understand that not to hold me to a standard of, I don't have no slave workers. I'm not Amazon. I got to pay people and I got to pay them very well for them to work with me. So when we start wanting to tell everybody about things, we have to think about what happens if everybody calls this small business at the same time. And that's the only thing. So when I say we love I love the attention. I love that people are buying from us. Now it's time that we educate the consumer on what goes on at a farm. Like people literally call me, and this is October. Hey man, can I buy some pineapples from you? And I said, okay, there's a conversation. Let's have the conversation. I raise beef, I raise lamb, I raise pork, I raise animals. I don't do fruit, but we have to understand what time of year it is and where we are. Pineapple doesn't grow in Georgia, and it wouldn't be grown this time of year. It needs to be in the heat. So those things are very important that we improve our knowledge base on how to be better customers of the farms so that they can provide the need that we desperately have.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I mean by really put the knowledge out there about like what we're doing right now, having these discussions, having these brainstorming sessions, even the interviews that we've done. Like we've interviewed, my sister Cece with the Natural Way 365. And as I help, because my background is digital media. I don't farm. So I can use my skills as a digital media specialist to tell these stories so we can get the information out here. And then as I'm doing this, like right now, I'm learning something new. I'm learning about, even what you said, that was a great point of view because a lot of people, and I've seen this happen with different, brands, and I always, tell our members like set yourself up for success, so when you get the success, because people don't think about when you get a bunch of customers, they just think that
Mhm.
I just want the money, I just want a bunch of people to know what I do, but then they don't have the infrastructure or the systems set in place to handle that, and then everything crash, which I've seen businesses do that with their websites, different things like that. One question I want to ask you, and I've been asking a lot lately: what AI automation would you be able to utilize for your
Oh,
business if there was one? What would really help you out?
well, there is one that I use it a lot. Um, the writing tools to be able to help me frame emails faster, letters faster, responses faster. What I like about the AI tool that I use is that it studies my email, it studies my cadence, it studies how I word things, and it then makes suggestions to me. It's like I had one this morning. It was a suggestion like, hey, this is a customer who has a question about a product. You may want to be more persuasive in your response versus being more businesslike. And sometimes I need that because I'm focusing on, all right, where do I need to be today? I got to be in the car for 4 hours. I know I'm going to take phone calls the whole time I'm driving to the farm and back. I got to talk to the packing house. I can't be nice to them because they only respect power. I got to be, I got to be hard here. I got to be soft here because I'm going to get 10 calls from little old ladies who haven't done this since the 70s. So having to be able to have that AI tool to keep me in in the position I need to be in, and not always as the guy who just spent 5 minutes tackling some cows, yelling at my dog to get my dog to do the right thing, and then having to kick a tractor to get this bucket on. I'm doing hard things. That doesn't lend me to be soft and very customer centric. So AI has softened me, because yeah, when you out there punching cows and chasing coyotes and having to shoot pigs and all this stuff, you ain't the softest person in the world. You ain't necessarily the best salesperson after that. You have to debrief. And as I know, when you're an entrepreneur, there ain't no debrief. You gotta learn how to switch that thing quickly. And AI reminds me of that when I start writing something. It's like, hey man, basically I hear it saying, hey bro, that's somebody's mama. Who you talking to? Say, change this tone up a little bit. Or hey man, they already don't respect you, so you might as well just get right to the business. This is a business. This ain't we're not friends. How much is it gonna cost me, man? Let's
That's a
get
great,
right to
that's a great tool to have. Language models is super great. I'm the same way. We definitely have to, especially with anything text, email, anything that's not on the phone, you have to make sure that you monitor, how you say things because people can take it a total different way. So, yeah,
it.
great.
And it's generational too. So I'm the last of that generation that I'm 52. So I'm the last of that generation that got thick skin. I mean, I don't know how else to put this. People could tell me hard things in a phone call, and I could interpret it. Oh, this guy's just busy. He's not really being rude. I could hear that he's being busy. But some younger people, some people like under 40, everything has to be, they want to feel like they're the only customer that you've ever had. And if they don't feel like they're the only customer, the first thing they're going to do is call their credit card company and just be like, yeah, charge that back. They don't even tell you. They'll just charge it back. They don't care how much, what it cost you, that you killed something to get this product. And I had to explain that to people like, something had to die for me to get you this product. And because I'm in another state, and because you thought that it should happen faster, you're going, what do you call it? Charge the credit card back. And one person, I said, go ahead, do it. And a week later, they called me about getting back on the books. And I was like, no, it's not a problem I need. I was like, but I've innovated this market so I can get stuff faster because of the relationships I had. And she couldn't get what she was buying from me until the middle of next year. And she was like, well, I didn't understand. I was like, you don't understand because you have not been in this space. Even if you just Googled it, you would have found out. But so you have to learn that not everybody has thick skin. Not everybody understands if you're having a bad day. That we don't give that grace anymore. That's just not what happens.
Yeah, and we don't educate ourselves anymore. It's
Mm-mm.
crazy because we talking about farmer right now, but I've had the same conversations literally even in say for instance the photography industry or the videography industry, it's the same thing. People don't really understand everything that has to go into, producing a project. They just thinking you hitting a button to record and that's it. You pointing,
Hmm.
hitting the button and doing what they doing on their phone, on social media, but it's a whole nother ball game. And that's why I'm so interested into the science behind things, because it's
Mm.
science behind everything, and we're so excited, to pop off our STEM program because we're going to be touching on that, because there's a science behind everything that you do, and it's so important for us as consumers, especially to understand that so we can have more empathy, when it comes to certain things and understanding certain things. So that's why even with our members and different clients that we have, we try to make sure that we put together a detailed outline so they can understand, at least have an idea of the scope of work that we're going to be doing, especially when it's something like social media marketing or something like that, where a lot of the stuff that we're doing is behind closed doors. They don't see a lot of the stuff. They just think like, oh, well, you just posting. It's like, well, it's a lot of other things that we're doing to keep you within that algorithm to keep things flowing. So yeah, I
Right.
think that's super important to really know the science behind things. I got another question though for you.
Yes.
As an investor, what is the, and I always ask investors this, when I come across them, what is the top things that you look for before investing in a project?
My top thing is the person and the purpose. Is this a lick for you, or are you working in your purpose? Like, if I put this money up on the rainy day and the bad day, are you still trying to figure it out because you're working in your purpose and you're passionate about it? That's what I look for. And then I try to invest in things that I'm passionate about. I don't want to invest in things like people can call me a million times about Bitcoin. I ain't ever gonna get it. I'm not interested in understanding it. Doesn't tickle my fancy. But a grocery store does. Another farm does.
I love it.
Some other thing. Yeah. So I stay where I'm comfortable. I don't need to be all over the place. There are other people that can do that. That's not me. I'm not there. So what? And I also look at how can this investment long term benefit my business or my retirement. So in a schedule K1 is the way I do most of my investments, right? So, and I'm not giving you money and then hoping like next year you're going to start making payment on the money. No, I want you to keep running building that business. And if the business grows, beautiful, put it back in the stock or shares or whatever it is you call it. And when the business sells, I want my percentage to come out of that. So if you sell the business, that's when I'm going to take my money. I want you to keep growing your business. I want to have products that I can put on shelves in some of these businesses. I want to be a part of, like in the Jamaica, we think in the next year or two we'll be able to go after some of the resort contracts. So I want my business to be a part of that, and I want to have some bargaining power with those other entrepreneurs, those other farms, those other entities, and then I can say that I'm a very well-rounded consultant and expert in this space versus me trying to do things that aren't in my wheelhouse currently. You can. That's just me. I want to do my 10,000 hours 3 and 4 times. So I got 40,000 hours all while doing the same hour. So I have 1 hour. I'm on the farm, but it translates to the grocery store. It translates to the consulting, and it's the same hour, but I'm getting credit for it 3 or 4 times. So
Right.
my practice is is fourfold.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. So, if you could instantly remove one major obstacle in your business, what would it be?
The barrier to processing. Processing is where we make our money. The barrier to processing, which I think it's like anything else, right? I had a group that was interested in me coming in as an equity partner, so I put a plan together. But we are dealing with folks who, while they may be good business people, they haven't had to. Let me say it this way: African Americans, Black folks in America, we don't get anything because of our good looks or by chance. You got to be really good at what you do to be invited. right? And then they'll act like you just okay. So when you present certain people with a legit document looked over by a lawyer, sometimes they're offended because that's not anything they've ever had to do, and they're not comfortable in that space. So you have to learn how to navigate that, particularly when I'm not working in most of our work isn't done in Atlanta, and it's not done with people that look like me on that end of it. So processing is a hassle. I've been kicked out of places because I bought a new truck, and I showed up with a new truck, and I wasn't in the 96 model no more. And they was like, dude literally looked at me and said, "Oh, you're doing good. I thought we was helping you out." I was like, "Why would you think you're helping me? I'm paying you, and I make my payment every time I come here, so I must be doing something." They kicked me out, said I was arrogant.
So why do you feel like, and I hate to make this I really try to stay away from the dividers, like skin color or whatnot, but it still intrigues me, you know, how different we are, when we come from different places.
Hmm.
Why do you feel like darker skinned people, and maybe from people from urban areas have a different mentality when it comes to business? Because I've been in situations where, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say burnt bridges, but bridges shook because a contract was presented, and it's like, well, this is basic business though. Like, we shouldn't.
So I just went through this like last week. So it's basic business to you and I, right? It's not basic business to people whose granddaddy had the place first, and because it's in somewhat in demand, they never had to learn the basic principles. Like the number of people that have a full-fledged factory that have no KPI, didn't know what KPI was, have no assumptions, have no realistic balance sheet, none. And when you present this stuff, you're like, well, hold on now. If you want me to give you a certain amount of money, I need to see the paperwork. And when they can't do that, it's an aha moment for them. And this is not, I'm not saying this about any individual. I think they're all good people that I'm dealing with, but their whole life they've been told that we ain't the sharpest. And the only reason we get somewhere is because of some program. And then you're sitting in front of somebody, I run a business, and you're saying, well, wait a minute, why don't I have goals for the business? That's standard, right? But now when you're hearing this from me, it pisses you off because you're supposed to be better than this guy. And it's hard for a lot of people to reconcile because they don't have to do square business. We can't get anywhere without the fundamentals. It's just not possible. There is no program that's given us anything. I don't care what these people on the news say. There in a program in America that's going to take me and make me a nuclear scientist, and I have no background in it. I don't know what they think. I don't know where they even got this from. But if we're not the tops at what we do, we don't get a shot. So if you ask anybody I bet you they're overqualified for the job that they're in, overqualified for the contract. That's America. It is what it is. That's why Atlanta is so important. That's why Birmingham is so important. That's why what Maynard Jackson did. Like the people who come to Atlanta and don't know the name Maynard Jackson, we ought to put you on a bus and ship you out. If you don't understand if you don't understand the reason that we are here having this conversation is because of what Maynard Jackson did with the Atlanta airport. There ain't no full stop. That's it. And if you don't understand that, and maybe I can get a little philosophical, but that's why a lot of us is more concerned with being real ends than being black men, because they don't want you to want to think about what Maynard Jackson and them did. They don't want you to know who Alonzo Herndon is. They don't want you to know about the Atlanta life. They don't want you down on Auburn Avenue learning about what those brothers did in that economic engine around Auburn Avenue. So yeah, that is it's That's the problem. The problem is that we are always over prepared because that's what America made us do. We all Madden all the time, baby. That's us. We all Madden all the time.
Yeah, I must say you hit it right on the head for sure. So 5 years from now, how would you define success for your business, and what do you feel like is the biggest barrier standing in the way right now?
5 years now, the biggest success indicator would be that I'm just behind a desk, and that I've got the right partnerships, or I've mentored enough people that can supply product, and then I can just be the sales mechanism. If we can do that, we're fine. 10 years from now, we have to own a black owned processing facility in close to Metro Atlanta. But we have to get our knowledge base up. I think there's money to build it. It's just, do we have the knowledge base to staff it and operate it correctly? And that's what the next phase of the business is getting, either investing in or doing some type of earned interest or earned equity agreement with another processor too, so I can start learning that end of the business. What was the second half of that question? That was 5 years. And then the biggest impediment.
Oh yeah, what do you feel like is standing in your way of those goals that you just mentioned?
Um, Again, back to processing. I've got the animals. I've got the connections to find the animals. If I have to outsource a lot of this stuff, but getting them cut continuously and the workforce. So I have a workforce development program that we just started talking about this week, to train, a non-traditional career, train young brothers to cut. We need more of us in these spaces, learning how to cut, because when you start thinking about where our power base is, it's in these cities. There are very few, if any, black-owned butchers and charcuterie shops in cities, and we need to have them there. We got enough farmers across the country to supply them. Black farmers, we need to get them there, and I'm gonna take that task on, at least for where I am.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Why do you feel like it's like that? Why do you feel like we don't have a lot of us in these spaces? Right now.
Simple answer: desegregation. We had all this stuff, and then once desegregation happened, and not just desegregation, but you also have to keep in mind, you start talking about Tulsa, the Greenwood district, little Africa, and Black Wall Street. They built that thing back after the fire, right after the war they had with the people in Tulsa. They built it back. It didn't die until desegregation. Once integration happened and we could go other places, that's what they did. I'm not mad at them. They spend their dollar where they want to spend it. But we lost all our amenities, our butcher shops, our flower shops, our dentist office for a while, our doctor's office for a while. And it's coming back, though. God bless Atlanta. Atlanta's making a lot of things possible. We got a lot of stuff in Atlanta that we probably had in the 40s and 50s, from florists to shop selling china, to food, to farms, to grocery stores. Yeah, Atlanta is. I basically tell everybody that if you know what the Harlem Renaissance was, we are actually living in our version of the Harlem Renaissance in Atlanta right now. Everything from political to playwrights, we have it all right here, right now. And in 100 years, they're gonna write about this like they wrote, like we learned about the Harlem Renaissance.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Hey, that was the best thing that I did was relocate to Atlanta and really, build, our foundation, and it was so much history,
Mm.
I did learn, and that was one thing that I kind of envy, coming from, we got a lot of history from Detroit. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of my partners from Atlanta still live in houses that their grandfathers built.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that was different. Coming from up top. Most of us we grew up in projects. You know what I mean? Our people didn't build this when I got in the
Well,
projects.
let's do this again, right? It's language is important. Most of your circle.
Yeah, Yeah.
because the people I know in Detroit all have homes and live in the homes that their when their grandparents or grandparents came from Mississippi or Arkansas, they bought homes. And a lot of them still live in those homes. And it becomes a not necessarily a class issue, it just becomes a networking issue. So who are we networking with? Are we networking with people that are going to keep a similar mindset? Like, all right, we from the projects, everything is hood. And I had to tell people, nah, man, that ain't how I grew up. That's not, I didn't have that type of struggle. And the black people around me didn't have that type of struggle. So sometimes I think all black people grew up in the suburbs and in this parts of the city that were somewhat affluent, because that's the circle that I grew up in. That's what my kid grew up in. My dad grew up in that way. His dad owned a farm, had 18 kids. His dad before that had 2 farms in Virginia. We've always had. Nobody's ever been in the projects. There's never been no lights cut off, no electric cut off, none of that. And I think that when I hear people say that, well, black people, I was like, well, I don't know what black people y'all around, because the black people I'm around, we ain't had that issue.
And that's why I want to get away from the black people thing. Like when I have these conversations, when I go deeper into these conversations, especially lately, when we go deeper into these conversations, I get more and more away from the skin color, because
Mm.
you're right. Like we're everywhere. We're everybody. We're connected in so many different lanes, and I was just so generous. I was just so blessed to be able to get away from um, that inner city everybody, because when you grow up that way, and when you grow up any type of way, whether you grow up in the burbs or whether you grow up in the hood, you just think that everybody grew up like that. So
Right.
I was blessed to be able to get out of that situation and go to different schools, and you
Yeah.
know travel.
It's your worldview.
And then I realized, like, whoa, we are into everything. Like,
Yes.
that's why I really love Atlanta, because you will see us in a lot of different fields, especially tech. I work with a lot of different entrepreneurs that's in the tech field. That's black. When I grew up, I didn't know nobody that was coders. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
didn't know
Bro,
any.
in Atlanta, you can find somebody that is into archaeology or mining, all the way to somebody that deals with space. And I'm talking about y'all might be in the same restaurant tonight.
Yeah,
That's how ubiquitous it is. That's what when I talk to people, I don't want you to say, and this is why I think that the conditioning of our young people. I got a 25-year-old son, and I would tell him, I said, man, look, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I said, but I done lived a little bit, and the reason that they want y'all smoking so much weed is they don't want you. You are a soldier. I said, if something pops off, you fighting. I'm advising. I'm 50. I mean, I still can fight, but I'm advising. And if you don't want to hear nothing I gotta say, when it pops off and you don't have no real world experience, no real combat experience, no nothing, who's gonna guide you? So you have to be able to understand the division is there so that we can't be together. They don't want no more fight the powers, and they saw what happened. We was together. They don't want us pushing back like what's going on with ICE right now. I can guarantee you, I still have helmets, and we're getting a little off track. Helmets, blackjacks, and nightsticks from the times in the late '80s, early '90s that we got into it with the police. They didn't shoot us, and we fought back, and they fought, and sometimes we lost, sometimes we won, but you kept us near if you won. But we fought back for real, and those things aren't going to happen anymore, because the complacency is set in, and everybody wants it easy, and nobody wants to risk nothing, and so with that being said, it's important that our people understand and not to be completely intoxicated with um, wealth, not to be intoxicated with a lavish lifestyle, not to be intoxicated with intoxicants, because the real and I got this after I moved, I understood why my grandparents were so wealthy. Is because they decided that What was more important was the legacy. What are we leaving for these kids? Versus I'm 50 something and I'm still trying to live my best life. You had opportunity. Now you got kids. Live for them. People don't understand that. Like I got a kid, he's 25 and he's got a girlfriend, and when they come in town, I'm at the house so I can cook for them. So I can show them to sit down, to calm, let's have dinner. I don't go, and man, I got a hot date, or I can live my life outside of those 3 days that my children are in town, so that I can be the example that I want my children to show when they're 50.
That's what's
And we're missing that in some ways we miss that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I was just speaking about having the same conversation with my mother, and we was talking about, that is the curse. That is the generational curse that everybody speak about right there. If you don't have that mindset, then you are cursing, your generations to come. And I don't want to, we breaking it. I just had my first son at 33.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's the best time, because I'm in this mindset now, and I have so much, and I'm excited because I have so much to pass on to him.
Yeah.
At least not, wisdom wise. So yeah, I can't wait, to that come up. Hopefully, I know everybody go through the times where your kids don't listen to you and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's part of life.
so I ain't looking forward to that. But hopefully he take everything, that I gotta give him, because we've been there, done that. But yeah, man, I don't want to hold you up too much. It was a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
gotta run.
Yeah, it was a lot of questions that we didn't get to. I definitely want to, really sit back down with you. I could pick your
Oh man,
brain.
we can run it back.
I could pick your brain all day, my guy. But I appreciate you so much. Real quick, man, let the people know where they can find you, and then if you can give a shout out to the mob.
Sure. Man, you can find me Swanson Family Farm LLC.com. Swanson Family Farm on all platforms. Google us, Swanson Family Farm. The website's active. We basically we stay out because you got to pre-order. And well, I cut this up, but tell me how you want your shout out, man.
Yeah, you can just, hey, quick shout out to the mob, or you can say master in our business. It don't matter.
Okay, what is it? Mastering.
Master in our business.
All right. Quick shout out to the mob. There's one thing that I think that is very important is mastering our business, M.O.B. If you're not doing that, what you doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you, King, so much, man. Definitely have a blessed day. We definitely
You
gonna
too.
follow. I definitely want to pick your brain some more and figure out how I can
Man,
be a.
run it back. If you want, run it back. I'm home tomorrow. I'm not hitting the road tomorrow because I'm doing it now. So let me know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm on you in a minute, man. Be blessed.
All right, man. Take care. Peace.
Sir, yes, sir. And if you're still on live with us, man, I appreciate you for tuning in with us. Make sure you guys blow up that chat. DM us if you have any questions or concerns. And man, make sure you guys check out our website at backstoneourbusiness.com. We got a lot of resources for you guys, a lot of information on there as well. Shout out to all of our members. Shout out to all of our mentors, all of our advisors, all of our family, man. If you know us, we move like a family, we move like a unit. And that's what the mob is all about, man. So continue on supporting us. If you are interested in becoming a special guest on one of our brainstorming sessions, if you just want to chop it up with us, man, make sure you guys reach out to us, and continue on being blessed. I'll talk to you guys shortly. Hey, it's the mob, baby. It's the mob. It's the mob. It's the mob. It's the mob. Continue on. And make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff, man. I'll talk to you guys next time.